After 40 years in real estate, I got one of my most interesting listings, a 14-unit building in Studio City that came straight from a YouTube video I made. Over the years, I've created many YouTube videos helping landlords deal with all kinds of issues like how to refuse SCEP inspections, what to do if your property goes into REAP, and just letting them know of all the different changes to rent control and stuff that affects us landlords here in Los Angeles. A landlord found one of my videos on how to refuse SCEP inspections. These sellers had two buildings, a triplex and 14 units in Studio City. And I helped him refuse a SCEP inspection on the bigger 14-unit building because he really didn't want SCEP inspectors rummaging around his tenants' units. Now, we were really successful at refusing the SCEP inspection. He followed the protocols that I use when I refuse SCEP inspections on my building, and he was successful, and he was very, very appreciative. A few years later, he reached out to me and he said, Derrick, I need to talk to you. I think it's time to sell. So the story was the actual owners of the property were a 90-year-old man and an 86-year-old woman, his husband and wife, and their son had been managing the property for about 25 years. Actually, he was managing both properties, the triplex and the 14 units. And it was just getting tougher and tougher for them to stay up on everything. The triplex had a unit that needed complete rehab. The 14 unit had 3 or 4 vacancies. They hadn't done the EQ soft story retrofit yet too, and that was coming due. Plus their mortgage was going to be readjusting from a fixed to an adjustable in late 2026, so that was going to put more burden on them. So they called me and said, Derrick, we want to talk to you, and that's how we got back in touch after I helped them with the scalp. I was dealing with the son who was running the building because the parents were quite elderly and they just left everything up to the son. So we got together, we had lunch, we talked about the situation, and the bottom line is these guys were your typical elderly mom and pop landlords that just couldn't handle running a building in the current LAHD regulatory environment that is so tough on landlords in Los Angeles. So I did the evaluation on the triplex and the 14 units. We listed the triplex first, got that sold. If you want to see the story on that, I'll put a link down below on that property because that was another crazy deal as well. They're all crazy deals. Anyway, so back to the 14 units. We picked a price. I did my all my marketing. I got a drone guy out there, shot video, shot drone photos, everything. And then I put together a professional offering memorandum with all the information, lots of photos, the rent roll, the expenses, income and expense sheet, all that information on this really pretty offering memorandum. And of course, I used the drone photography to create this memorandum. So we get ready to launch it. We put it on the market. Immediately, I'm getting a lot of response because there's not that many really nice buildings in the valley. And, Encino, Studio City, Sherman Oaks, those are the prime areas that investors want to own apartment buildings in. Much better than Valley Village or Van Nuys or some of the other areas. And this property was prime Studio City on Moore Park Avenue, just west of Coldwater Canyon. Really nice neighborhood. The building was beautiful. They had maintained it very well. The son had done a great job in upgrading the exterior and the landscaping, and it was beautiful. The units were like condos. They were large, they were spacious, they had great layouts, plenty of parking, both in an interior courtyard and off the alley. There was a couple of large rooms that could have been turned into ADUs. Everything was good. The plumbing was good. The electrical had been upgraded. The roof was in pretty good shape. So we got a lot of good feedback. So we got an offer pretty quick. We went into escrow. We were asking about 4.9, went into escrow about 4.8, and then proceeded to do the inspections and everything. So there were some issues with the building. Oh, and one other thing, right when I listed the property within a week or two, one of the tenants filed a habitability lawsuit against the owners. It was complete BS. He was just looking for a money grab. And of course, he got a free attorney. So Now I got this new listing and there's a lawsuit on it. So I had to tell the buyer, hey, there's a lawsuit, blah, blah, blah. The fix for that is for the buyer and seller to sign a hold harmless agreement that indemnifies the buyer from any actions from this lawsuit. So, okay. And remember, the soft story retrofit hadn't been done, so a new buyer was going to have to spend about $150,000 to get the soft story retrofit complete for the city, and that had to be done by 2027. So, the negotiation process started regarding the repairs, the lawsuit, the soft story, other issues that supposedly popped up from the inspection report, termite, etc. So, and the weird thing is this buyer wanted to move into one of the units, so she wanted to owner occupy one of the townhouses that was vacant, and it was in beautiful condition. This building had two beautiful 2-story, 3-bedroom, 3-bath townhouse units, maybe about 1,800 square feet, and they each had their own private yard. So she wanted to live in the building, so she was super motivated. But it ended up, she came back to us through her agents, and she wanted a $500,000 price reduction. So my seller said, go pound sand. So we ended up canceling. We just sent them a notice to perform. We canceled the deal. She went away, whatever. So it goes back on the market. But I put it back on the market with a price reduction from 499 to I think 4.799. So now we knocked the price down by 200,000. So we get more offers coming in. I had multiple offers on this property. And a principal came to me. He owned property in the area. We did a deal. I think it was 4.55. And the good thing is I had all the inspection reports from the last buyer that I was able to provide to the new buyer. Also, the seller, even though he hadn't done the EQ work yet, the soft story retrofit, he had plans and permits approved by the city. Engineering, all that stuff, all approved, ready to go. But again, the clients were elderly and the son didn't want to take on that job. They just said, Derrick, we want to sell it as is. Let the new buyer do the retrofit. So we go with this new buyer. We go in for 5.5. He doesn't even really do inspections because he had all the reports already. We walked through the units. Now, remember, there was also 4 vacancies. So I had 4 vacancies. One needed complete rehab. We had to do the earthquake. That wasn't done yet. And we had a lawsuit. So we had a lot of headwinds on this deal. So after about, 30 days, the buyer comes to me, Derrick, I can't pay 4.55 for this property. I'm willing to pay 4.2 million for it. So my seller said, forget it. We're just going to go back on the market. It's crazy. Forget it. So this guy was what we call a retrader. Everything looks good. We get into escrow. Everybody's happy. We got a price. And then they come back and try to retrade to a lower price. Very common in the multifamily world, especially with these larger buildings. And I always tell my clients, my sellers, look, it might take 1, 2, or 3 escrows to find one that sticks. The first one usually doesn't stick. But it gets easier and easier as we go along because we have reports, we have inspections, we have more data to give the next buyer. So going back on the market for the 3rd time, and I got another price reduction. Now it's 5.99. So now the pricing, the cap rate, the GRM, price per door, that's looking way better than when we started the deal. Immediately, as soon as I put it back in the MLS, LoopNet, and CoStar, started getting phone calls, principals, agents. I must have got 10, 15 phone calls because it was priced from 5 million. Now it's 4.6 million. So you can imagine we get a lot more activity. So I had, 3 or 4 offers, and then it was crazy. It was there was just, I don't even remember all the details, but for some reason those offers just didn't materialize. They didn't go to contract. I get another call from another principal He's all, Derrick, I own a bunch of property. I'm looking to buy this property. I like it and stuff. So we go look at the property with his property manager. We go look at all the vacant units. I walk him through the entire building. I had a huge Google folder in the Google Drive that I was able to share with him all the reports, the permits and plans for the EQ, termite reports, leases, estoppels. We just had so much data in that Google Drive that they were able to go through every document I had to really see what was going on with the building. Anyways, we got it done. But what I made him do on this particular deal is my seller and I insisted that after inspections were completed, he has to release his 3% deposit, non-refundable, to the seller. That way, he's locked in. He's not gonna back out of the deal or try to retrade it. So he agreed to that. We opened escrow. He removed all contingencies from day one. That was another requirement. I want to know you're committed. You're going to release the deposit. You're going to sign and release all contingencies. The only thing that we had to do, other than the normal, escrow and loan and stuff like that, is we had to agree on a hold harmless agreement because of this tenant that was suing the seller. So, it took about a month, but we finally got his attorney and my seller and ChatGPT to work out an acceptable agreement that was signed, and that put the deal to bed. And then from that point on, it was just doing the inspections, not the inspection, but doing like an interior review, getting his property manager out there, getting it ready to trade and to hand off to him. The loan was okay. It was Bank of America. He was a private client. He's rich. Private client with B of A, so they did the loan. Everything worked out. It appraised okay. I'm skipping a lot of the BS we had to go through, but it's not that important to this story. But the bottom line is we got it done, and it took about almost 90 days. There was a lot of other twists and turns. And then we also had a balcony. One other thing. The tenant that was suing my seller also narked to the LAHD housing department about substandard stuff going on in his building. And he also narked on another tenant's balcony that he said, I know that balcony needs to be fixed and whatever. So in the middle of escrow, LAHD comes out and they look at this Yo-Yo's unit, the guy who sued him, and they looked at the other balcony and they determined, yeah, those have to be repaired. So right in the middle of escrow, now I'm dealing with the LAHD. So we get the contractor out there. He gives us a bid. We pull permits. We got all the balconies fixed before the close of escrow, days before the close of escrow. And once we got the balconies fixed, the LA Department of Building and Safety signed off on it. We sent the permit to the LAHD to prove that the work was all done. Like the day after escrow, LAHD signed off on it. So it was really a good thing. The buyer was happy. That was out of our hair. So there was a lot of crazy stuff going on through escrow, but we got her done. My sellers couldn't be more happy. When it was finally over, we just kind of sat back and just went, oh my God, I can't believe this is done. I mean, what a weight off our shoulders. Now, we're still dealing with stuff after the close of escrow. We just got the LAHD sign off today. I still don't have the final report from the contractor clearing all the balconies, even though LADBS cleared them. We're still transferring utilities. I think tomorrow we're going to get the keys over to the new buyer. And there's some stuff going on with their EQ retrofit that my seller has to clarify for the buyer. So still there's stuff we got to deal with. But like my seller said, God darn it, Derrick, at least I'm not running that building. And I told my tenants, don't ever call me, don't ever email me. I'm done. You got a new owner there. So it wrapped up okay. Everybody's happy. Now, I'm going to do an interview, kind of podcast interview with the son to kind of get his perspective and just I think it would be a very interesting video to watch the perspective from an actual multifamily seller dealing with these issues and, how I performed and how we work together. I mean, we're like best friends now. This son is, me and him, we're roughly the same age. our kids are the same age. He's got teenagers. I got teenagers. We got a lot in common. I look forward to, being friends with this guy. I mean, for the rest of our lives. Anyways, it all turned out good. Didn't mean to ramble on this video, but man, it's good to get this off my chest and kind of articulate what kind of stuff people go through, what kind of stuff I go through selling these large rent control buildings, especially when you got LAHD and earthquake retrofit and lawsuits and stuff. Anyways, I hope you enjoy this. Of course, I'm here to help you. I do tough deals. I do complicated deals. If you're thinking about selling or you're dealing with SCEP or REAP or whatever, give me a call. We'll talk about your situation. I'll give you some good real world advice on what your options are, and then we can go from there. All right, everybody, Derrick Ruiz, eXp Realty. Look forward to talking to you soon. Take care.